The third notation I want to show you is the birdtrack notation. It's a diagrammatic notation. So in birdtrack notation, our permutation here would be represented by this diagram. And think of this diagram as follows. We read this from right to left. So for a moment, let's write the numbers 1 to 6 here in these positions. And then we see that 1 is mapped to 6, and 2 is mapped to 5, 3 is mapped to 1, and so on. So this is what the diagram tells us, how to read this. And we just write the diagram, no additional numbers or anything. So this is the permutation. We can use this diagram also in order to make the cycle structure visible. We just connect, maybe better. We connect the first line on the left to the first line on the right, the second, and the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, start with the sixth. Okay, now we can see the cycles. So if we start with 1, that would be here. No. We just follow this line. So we get this long loop here, which goes through the center 3 times, and that's this 3 cycle here. And if we look at 2, and follow this line, we get this 2 cycle here, which goes twice through the center, and then there's the 1 cycle mapping 4 to 4. Now, how do we do calculations with this birdtrack notation? Let's say if we want to multiply these 2 birdtrack diagrams here, what would we do? Just draw them again. Oops, that was not what I wanted. We draw them again and attach them to each other. So we just join the lines here in the middle. And now we don't care how much the lines wiggle in the middle. We only care where a line starts and where it ends. So for example, the 3rd line comes out in the 3rd position again. The 1st one comes out as the 2nd one, and so on. So we really get this diagram here, which just exchanges the first 2 lines. Let's check this in cycle notation so that all is consistent. So what is this birdtrack here? 1 is mapped to 2. See this here. And 2 is mapped to 3, and 3 is mapped to 1. And this one here is just 2 and 3 exchanged. And now let's calculate this in cycle notation. So what happens to 1? Nothing happens to 1 here, and here 1 is mapped to 2. So overall, 1 goes to 2. What happens to 2? 2 goes to 3, and 3 goes to 1. So overall, 2 goes back to 1. And then 3 is mapped to 2, and 2 is mapped to 3. So we have the 1 cycle 3 here, which we usually omit. Same calculation in birdtrack and in cycle notation.